we have two through valves. One of them right here has a pump connected to it. That is a bilge pump that doesn't actually work right now, but it can be replaced, and it is hooked up for bilge number 3, I believe, on the circuit panel. This is your other through valve. These two through valves are open currently, and they connect to the cockpit drains. So they're through valves for the cockpit drains. Down here is your dripping shaft. So if you turn the engine on, that needs to be loosened up so that it can drip to cool and lubricate the shaft. Once you park the boat again, it needs to be tightened up so it's not dripping into the bilge. This one too. Here is one of the 3 fire extinguishers on the boat. Okay, in here is the high water bilge alarm, is the white thing right there. To test it, you go down and you flip this small lever. Also, this is the lowest portion of the boat, so this is where the pickup for all of the bilges are. The bilge pumps. Here is the shaft keeper, or basically like the shaft stopper to stop the shaft from rotating. The lever for that is up in the cockpit, but if it's not stopping the shaft, you can just go down here and just tighten it up a little bit, and that'll stop the shaft right there. And then there is the transmission. You can check the transmission fluid either from here or in the engine room, which is what I prefer. Okay, we are in the aft head. Here is the airhead. If you want to learn more about how the airhead operates, you can go onto Airhead website and check it out. But this has the larger urine collector, and Corey and I absolutely love it. It's made it so much nicer smelling. One of the benefits to that is a vent that's in here, which should always be running, and if you can feel it, it's running right now, but the vent is up here and the wiring port is right here, and that's what's keeping it smell free. If you want to change it, or if you want to change the filters, they're right here, but you can learn more about that on the Airhead website. And then the solar vent is right above this, so this fan is always running, and it's piping the air out of the airhead outside, but even then it doesn't even smell at all. Also, if you wanted to change it back to a wet head, to a physical pumping out head into the collection black water tank, you could. Here is the port where you shove the pumper, and then Corey and I have the old original Levac manual toilet, and then the piping can still get hooked up right there for raw water intake and also head exit water out. Okay, one last video to kind of tidy up the aft cabin. All of the cushions for the cockpit are back here, and then under the cockpit cushions and labeled are all of the layers for the enclosure around the hardtop. So this is the full cockpit enclosure. Hold on. You can see them all here. They've only been on the boat for maybe a week, and then they've been kept down here, so they're basically brand new. Be careful because they're so clear, you might want to walk through them. Also, I replaced all of the fiberglass knees here. They're solid oak on the inside, and then about 1.5 inches of fiberglass that's on both sides. And then you can see on the other side, these are for the back stays for the main, and then for the mizzen stays, I replaced this section over here and re-encased it in fiberglass, and also the section in front of that. So all of those have been, the chain plates have been removed, inspected, refurbished, and then the fiberglass has been replaced as well. Lastly, in the front here, you'll see that the companionway has got a quick up, and it gives you more room, but we also have the staircase as well that goes back here. Okay, inside the starboard closet, just forward of the aft cabin, is a galvanic isolator for shore power. A lot of other voltage is back here, the autopilot electronics, and then the single sideband radio electronics are over here as well. In here, in the closet, just under the main companionway stairway, we have your inverter charger. Currently, the inverter is not operational and it just works in charging mode. And then here is the ignition key for the generator. In order to turn the generator on, you have to ensure the battery is connected. Currently, it's disconnected from the starter battery. And then once it's the battery's connected and the switch is turned to on, that's the black switch that's over in the engine room, on the wall, the forward wall of the engine room. Then you turn this key to the side. You should see the engine or the generator indicators light up right over here, but you can kind of see the gauges on the other side of this wall when you turn that key. Then you push the pump, the diesel fuel pump, for about 5 seconds, and then you hold the key into start for about 3 seconds while the generator turns on. Once it's on and running, you can release the fuel pump switch and then release the ignition switch. Okay, I'm leaning on the main companionway ladder. We have an identical one for the aft cabin companionway as well. Here you have bilge pump 1 and 2. Bilge pump 2 is currently not operating. I showed you where the pump is that isn't operating, but bilge pump 1 does work, and that's in the bottom of the bilge. It's currently selected to auto, so if it ever sees a raise in temperature, it automatically runs. Here you have the engine and house bank battery switches. The engine bank switch is currently off to save battery to the engine starter battery, but in order to turn the engine on, you have to turn this selector switch back to on so that the starter battery is connected to the engine. The house bank is currently selected to off, so that is isolating the house bank from the engine's battery bank. If you wanted to link the two, or if you wanted to ensure that the alternator was charging the house bank, you would have to shift this to on. Also, you have a battery indicator for the engine. This is the engine battery indicator. This is the only engine battery indicator other than the ball mar, which will also, or the alternator, which will tell you the starting battery. And then you have the propane fume detector right here. This is the indicator, and the detector is currently under the stove. Down below here are the oil pressure and water temperature gauges for the generator. Okay, you have now stepped into Minoh's library, and just under Minoh's library are the mast lights and running lights. You have the steaming light, which is off the main mast forward, the tricolor light on top of the mast, which is currently inoperable, the spreader light, which are on the main spreaders, and you have the anchor light, which is on the mast, with the tricolor light, which is currently inoperable. This can pop off, and you can access all of the internal components, which are also labeled from good old Russ, the previous owner. Okay, in the salon forward of the wood-burning stove, you have the air conditioning unit. The Cruise Air 16,000 BTU air conditioner is a cooler and a heater. The hair dryer is in case these pipes freeze up when it's putting out actually hot air, which we never had occur. And this is a single blower system, and it runs like a champ. Puts out really cold air. Just below that is another tool compartment. Down there you have a vise and a prop puller if you were having to do more work at sea. The control panel for the air conditioner is right here, and the instructions are on the side. Okay, we are now in the forward cabin of Minoh. Forward of here is the anchor locker, which you can access some of the chains through that window, but it's separated with a vapor barrier too with plastic. Above that is the windlass. The windlass was recently serviced in 2019 and is basically almost a brand new windlass. Down here you'll notice some of these throughout the boat. These keep air moving under the cushions to reduce mold. And then in this compartment you have a spare. What we've been using it for is for additional sails, storm sails or additional Genoa sails. Oh, hello. We're currently in Minoh's cockpit. In the cockpit, you'll see these enclosure accessories. So the enclosure zips up right here along the cockpit cowling, and then on the top, it fits into these tracks that are actually installed on the hardtop. So they slide right in for a very nice, tight, dry experience on the hardtop. The hardtop is made of very strong and thick aluminum and fiberglass on the top. In the back, you'll see the West Marine Haplon flat deck instead of the V deck as you go into it. Flat deck dinghy, brand new in 2021 with a 9 horsepower Yamaha 4-stroke.